I'm back, and I'm gonna talk a lot about this guy from this show. Who is he? Well, this is none other than Javen, the D-Class SCP, and he is not what he seems. And I'm gonna be the one to prove it to you. Just in case you never heard of it, this is Javen, once again, from SCP Uncontained by Decoy, one of my favorite internet shows, and I really recommend that you all see it. The link should be in the description to the channel and the playlist. But now, let's talk about Javen. One of the four main characters in this show, portrayed as the weakest, but I'm going to prove to you that he is not actually weak at all, but he is quite the opposite. His friends X, Amy, and the detective, with the strongest connection being between X and him, a multiversal god, is best friends with the D-Class SCP. That's something we need to keep in mind now. Let's get into the theory about Javen's abilities and what I believe them to be. The four: time manipulation, ability to feed off of others, which I think is called parasitism, and enhanced endurance / a healing factor. And this shadow thing, whatever the heck this thing's called. Time manipulation is showed in episode 1, The Unclean, when X and Javen are being chased down by the SCP Foundation people named Group Alpha. Now, okay, that's pretty cool. But, okay, he shouldn't be able to survive that. But he didn't survive that. Look at his pants. Javen's pants changed from being raggedy to clean. Just like that. I believe Javen went backwards in time to redo the jump and safer. As you know, when he says, no, come on, please. He makes a raspy voice in desperation. Parasitum, or parasitic, whatever you want to, however you say this word. Apparently Javen is from another world, as stated by Malice, wishing he could have dissected him, making him #built different, if you know what I'm saying. But you may not be saying, how could this prove that Javen is parasitic? Well, I can prove it to you with these few pieces of evidence. You see, X, as we know, is a multiversal god and a very strong anomaly. And he should, his level should be off the charts. And Javen is a D-Class SCP, meaning that he shouldn't have an anomaly level whatsoever. But what's this? X is at 99 and Javen is at 1. Particularly interesting, if I do say so myself. This leads to many possibilities. Is X giving Javen energy? Is Javen feeding off of X, as a parasite does? As Amy states by herself.
So you're a joint package? Are you something like a virus? A parasite? A thing that attaches onto something else in hopes of recognition?
What? No, why are you being so rude all of a sudden?
Not rude, truthful.
Now, proof that Javen is feeding off of X. Look at this scene. He has an X in his eyes. And who did he just leave behind? X. Now, an X is kind of, his whole thing. Like, X is kind of in his name. It's kind of what he does, kind of his trademark. If you see an X, you know it's X. And I have a strong feeling, that just going on a limb here, that Javen didn't get all this power on his own. Now, this is when his stunts start. After he steals X's eye, not his actual eye, but like, he steals his trademark and puts it into his eye. Now, this once again leads to many possibilities of, is Javen actually feeding off of X and able to steal his abilities? Or is he able to borrow his abilities and use them for a short period amount of time? Now, if he keeps feeding off of X for however long the show goes on for, could Javen turn into a multiversal god? This leads to many scary things. Javen has a high regeneration ability, as well as others, being able to regenerate limbs almost instantly and in a very, very short amount of time as well. Seeing after taking explosions would have decimated his leg, and he uses them like it's absolutely nothing. Doing his rocket stun and all, which shatters bones if you didn't know. And after being literally tortured almost to death and possibly to death by Malice, regenerating his own arm just to run the ones. That's right. This man grew a whole limb just to make some smoke. He wants to fight and he doesn't have an arm to prove it. But now he has an arm now. He grew it back. You can see it getting from this light shade to this darker shade, darker and darker, to the arm regenerates. And he uses it like it was never gone in the first place. And he, gets kind of knocked out. He gets sleep. And then magically, all of his wounds are gone before his visit to the unclean. I don't think Malice would have just healed him up just like that. He would have kept roughing him up in his sleep, like he did previously. That's how his arm went missing in the first place. And now it's time for our last exhibit, which is one of the most confusing, if I do say so myself. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but I'm going to do it the best I can. This red shadow thing. Now, if you watch the show, you know that Javen isn't, the kind of person that just goes into stuff, face first, going headstrong. No, he's a bit of a scaredy cat. He's a bit of a scaredy cat, if I do say so myself.
Before you met X, the other psychiatrist said you were pitiful, depressed, and downright idiotic. I thought you changed.
Now, that's where this shadow thing comes to play. We can see a drastic change in Javen's personality, from the pilot in the beginning of episode 1 until this part right here. You look in the window, you can see the red. You can see his shade. He's looking at him. He got something malicious is brewing with those look in his eyes. So, how does this change Javen's personality? Well, I don't know exactly what this thing is, but I do know that it definitely did give Javen a personality boost. His ego is now through the roof. So like he be from scaredy cat to buff cat. I don't know what other cat there is. Now, what proof do I have that this changed his full personality? Well, in the beginning of the episode, he was whining, like, "Oh no, I'm about to get beat up," to literally staring Malice in the face, talking crap. Like, who do you know cowers in fear 1 minute and starts laughing in the face of his torturer the next? That guy should take some ego, and that's exactly what the shadow gave him. Ego. Now, I'm being a confident person, making jokes, mocking death, literally, pulling some outlandish stunts in front of people who could literally kill him if they felt like it. Not kind of a Javen move if I do so say myself. But unfortunately, he loses this ability. I think it's like during the car ride to the unclean, but some period, he loses the ability. And I believe it's got transferred to Malice after he, died and stuff, and then he came back. Now he has a red eye. Now you might be saying, no, but the eye was always red. It was just under his eye patch. Well, in the thumbnail proves otherwise. Now Javen is facing death. Facing death. Malice got a gun, and he doesn't look exactly too happy. Doesn't look exactly too happy. You may just see bitches. Oh crap! Welcome to the peak of Jaden's mind. So far in the series, you can see this white background. This is a good part of his mind. The bad part shall be explored later. As you see, this is the happy part of his mind, showing by the things that make him happy in life. After being put in the facility, showing many round objects. Now, after being intoxicated with the healing syndrome over and over again, being, tortured and all, he has gained a form of immortality, taking the orange ball to bring him back to life, judging reality in his favor once again. And now, X has taken the bullet, making Javen live another day. Now, just in case you were confused, this was a visual representation of Time Rewind. That's right, baby. We're going back to the first thing. We're going back to the past. Now, what time to move on to the short cameo that Malice has in episode 2, which is, further proving that the shadow did move on to Malice and it's not still in Javen. I mean, you could tell by his personality, but the physical proof that he's literally emanating red off of him, and the red eye is still there. Now, is somewhat still a part of Javen, as Malice is now haunting Javen inside of his mind, and the shadow is a part of Malice. So this could lead to some very, very interesting things in the future. In order to access your pride and ego, you gotta get through Malice. So, this video is shorter than I expected. Well, I'm gonna go get this chocolate flavored now. See you, nerd.